Hi, I'm Nick Grotto, and welcome to Nick's Game Grotto. Today we're going to be talking about, or I'd like to talk about, action roles in Daggerheart. I like to call for a lot of roles. When I'm playing at conventions or playing one shots online or in a game store, like introducing it to people. So if they're on that and they just want to test something out, I call for a lot more roles. And that the reason that is the time constraint to get to a satisfying conclusion is much tighter, right? So I could always pace a game out that's going to be three or more sessions. I can pace a game out to make it last longer or to shorten it up a little bit. But when you have 1 2 to 3 hour session, and that's the maximum amount of time you have at a table, then you need to get things moving. And so when you play with a group of people like that, you want to keep them engaged and do a lot of stuff to help them learn, right? So what happens with these rules, the step 4 of an action role, what they tell you to do is great for a campaign at home with friends, but if you're out and in maybe a different environment, that might not be the best situation for you. So says, right? A success with hope, you pull it off well and get what you want, gain a hope. And what was happening with players was they felt like pulling it off with hope should have been like extra, right? So more than feeling more like a critical success, right? On failure with hope and on failure with fear, things don't go to plan. You probably don't get what you want, and there are consequences, but you gain a hope. That is the toughest one for a GM to wrap his mind around, and success with hope not being extra, right? So it's the with hope part causing a level of fatigue, right? To have to keep coming up with like you fail, but something good happens. It's fine sometimes. It starts to feel like I'm punishing characters and not rewarding them, right? And it not only to me but to them, and it gets to be like tedious that I have to explain all of this all the time, right? So, the way I described it in sessions at conventions is that if you fail, you fail, right? That is the consequence for failure. You don't get a hope, I don't get a fear, right? Probability of them rolling a 13 is the highest, right? And then less than 13. So rolling a 13 is a singular probability, right? Because it's in the middle. But rolling a 2 is just as likely as rolling a 24, right? Which is the least likely thing to happen. This guy is a 13 is at the top, the most likely thing to happen. So I usually am asking for at a minimum of 14 or a 15, right? So if a player rolls a 1 with hope and a 12 with fear, then I hit them with something horrible, right? Usually it's like a narrative discovery. So if they roll with fear, I will reveal something that is spooky or scary. You know what I'm saying? Something that maybe will throw them off the scent of, like, for Pastaniti. So the way I run Pastaniti is like a mystery. So when they rolled successfully with fear, I was a little misleading. I gave them what they wanted, but then kind of pointed down the wrong path, right? I like to say, so the real reason I do it is for brevity, to make sure that I can control the amount of time that the game takes and have a better sense of how much hope and fear people are going to get. And then once I see that stuff stacking up, I start moving the game towards its conclusion, right? And while there's no inevitable conclusions, inevitable events leading up to conclusions, right? The idea for this is that you want to reduce the time and reduce and get to certain conclusions so that you don't have too much resources being available, right? So you can't drain resources the way you would in a campaign, because to do that feels like you're punishing the game, since it's such a short period of time. But if you have one game session where it's like, well, that was like Nick just like hammered us for like 45 minutes straight, like one thing after another, that was just depleting, right? That I could do in a campaign, but you don't want to do that at a convention. And I think it's okay to. That's why we like tabletop role playing games. You don't have to learn how to code to change the rules. So that's it. I'm Nick Grotto with Nick's Game Grotto. Come find me on Start Playing Games and join my Discord. Go to my website, nickgrotto.com. And you could get to my Discord. You could get to my. You could play games with me and a bunch of other stuff. So, see you later.